On this day in 1922, Celtic legend Sonny Jim Young was killed in a motor accident at the age of just 40. The Glasgow Herald reported on the 5th of September 1922, Mr James Young, Kilmarnock, formerly a well-known football player, died in Kilmarnock Infirmary last night from the effects of a motor car accident which befell him in the afternoon. Along with two Darville men, he was proceeding to Darville, and when the car was passing through the Wellington Bridge on the road between Kilmarnock and Hurlford, it collided with a Kilmarnock Corporation tramway car. Young was severely injured and was removed to the infirmary, where he died about 6:30 in the evening. Jim Young joined Celtic from Bristol Rovers in May 1903 and made his debut against league champions Hibernian in the Glasgow Merchants Charities Cup, which had been expanded to include Hearts, Hibernian and St Mirren that season in order to raise more money for victims of the Ibrox disaster the year before. After a 0-0 draw in which he impressed, Celtic beat Hibernian 5-0 in the replay and then defeated St Mirren 5-2 in the final. The Scottish referee recorded of the final in its edition of the 25th of May 1903. In Young, the Parkhead officials have hit on a veritable rough diamond. The Paisley forwards were practically never allowed to settle, so tenacious and robust was the play of the fair-haired Ayrshire laddie. There is likely to be some heartburnings when the Celts come to settle their middle division at the opening of next season's campaign. On the form shown so far, Young looks to be a certainty. Celtic hadn't won a major trophy since the Scottish Cup in 1900, and it was 1898 since they had last won the league. The years since then had been spent trying to build a new young team after regularly raiding English clubs for established Scottish professionals through the 1890s. Season 1903-04 saw Celtic fall just short in the league behind Rangers and champions Third Lanark. But by March 1904, the half-back line of Young, Loney and Hay had been established and provided the foundation of a spectacular 3-2 victory over Rangers in the 1904 Scottish Cup final, with Jimmy Quinn scoring a hat-trick after Rangers took a 2-0 lead inside the first 10 minutes. Celtic followed up this cup success with 6 consecutive league titles, with Jim Young a force of nature in the half-back line. His nickname of Sonny Jim was a somewhat ironic one. He was famously dour-faced and was named after a perpetually happy cartoon character invented to advertise Force, one of the first commercially successful breakfast cereals. Their advertising campaign in 1902 included a verse that read, "Jim Dumps was a most unfriendly man who lived his life on the hermit plan. In his gloomy way he'd gone through life and made the most of woe and strife, till force one day was served to him. Since then they've called him Sonny Jim." There's no one alive today who saw Sonny Jim play, but from newspaper reports of the time, we have the impression of a lanky, yet powerful, strong-running halfback, capable of breaking up attacks with his keen positional sense and hard tackling, and also driving at opposing defences and finding his forwards with accurate passing. Sonny Jim also relished a battle. After the 1904 Glasgow Cup final against Rangers, in which he stamped his authority all over the match, the Scottish referee wrote on the 10th of October 1904, "Young was the most useful, if not the most classic half on the field. His agility, energy and great reach made him the right man in the right place. His vigour occasionally was to the blameworthy side. His play would be none the worse of toning down and would not be any less effective." That was on page 3. On page 2, he was described as the lengthy and unscrupulous Young. Sonny Jim was there all the way through the glory years of the brilliant side assembled by Willie Maley in the first decade of the new century. And after the departures of Jimmy Hay in 1911 and Willie Loney in 1913, he captained the team that regained the championship in 1914 and led Celtic through most of the First World War, before he was forced to retire because of a knee injury that left him using a walking stick in 1916. Sonny Jim didn't come from a Celtic background, but he found a home at Celtic Park, and there was no one more committed to the cause, and no player more admired and loved by the fans of the time. Like a cross between Roy Aitken and Bobby Murdoch, he dominated the midfield as Celtic attained a dominance of Scottish football that would not be matched again until the Steen era. Sonny Jim Young played 443 League and Scottish Cup matches for Celtic from 1903 to 1916 and scored 13 goals while winning the League Championship 10 times, plus 6 Scottish Cups, 6 Glasgow Cups and 8 Glasgow Merchants Charities Cups. A giant figure in Celtic's early history in every sense. After his retirement from football and a benefit match which raised him the then princely sum of £1,000, he ran a pub with his close friend and former Celtic teammate Bobby Templeton, who had also died at a young age almost 2 years before. He left behind a wife and 3 children, and his death was greatly mourned. The Kilmarnock Herald and North Ayrshire Gazette reported on his funeral on the 8th of September 1922. The streets through which the cortege had to pass on its way to the cemetery were densely populated. In fact, the whole adult population of the town seemed to have turned out to pay their last tribute of respect to one who for many years had been the darling of the football public. As the sad procession slowly wended its way through the streets, hats and caps were doffed reverently, and one heard expressions of the deepest sorrow and regret that the career of Sonny Jim had been brought to an end in such a sad and tragic manner.